What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. All right, we've got to talk about Shannon Sharpe and this clip that's gone viral with him having Gary Owens on his clubshayshay podcast for a sit down. I don't even call what Shannon Sharpe does as I don't call them interviews. I feel like most people, they call it that simply because it's like, oh, he's asking him questions, he's got his cue cards, it's an interview. But it's really just like a sit down, having a conversation, and mainly I feel like the majority, at least of what I've seen, the people who come on there, they lead the conversation. Let's be clear. Shannon Sharpe's sit down with Cat Williams, it went viral for one reason, because it was Cat Williams, and Cat Williams decided to lay everything out on clubshayshay's platform and mainly addressing some previous people that he had on his podcast to address some things that they have said and some things that they have done, whether it was on the clubshayshay podcast or just in general, right? It had nothing to do with Shannon Sharpe, you know? Like, like for example, not to compare, but just giving an example, that clip of Torre when he did an interview with the singer, the I Believe I Can Fly singer years ago, that was an interview when he said, "Do you like teenage girls?" That was a profound question. Shannon Sharpe didn't ask any profound questions, okay? But I will say this. I didn't watch the Gary Owens sit-down conversation. I don't really watch a whole lot of Shannon Sharpe stuff because clearly, I wouldn't say clearly, but honestly, he's just not my cup of tea. And he's a hard listen to. And I mentioned that before with you guys because before the clubshayshay podcast, before the nightcap or whatever he calls it that he does with Ocho Cinco, my husband used to watch him on the show with Skip Bayless. And I said back then, I was like, how do you listen to him? And he's just hard to listen to. Okay. But that's me. Anyway, Gary Owens, who is a comedian, Caucasian comedian, who kind of is like the male Tina Marie, in my opinion. You remember the late, great singer Tina Marie, Caucasian, just never, for whatever reason, she was never someone that, she never even had to cross over. She was just always in the African American genre of music. So a lot of, I feel, Caucasian people, they just weren't aware of her or into her music because she was just always in this genre. So she never crossed over into the genre. She was just always here. All right. Introduced by the late, great Rick James, but I digress. Gary Owens, not saying that he's as popular as Tina Marie, but I'm just saying he kind of reminds me of Tina Marie, whereas I don't think that he was ever really in the Caucasian comedic community. He just always was in the Black, African American, whatever you want to call it, comedy sector. And that's just it. So with that being said, to see this clip from the clubshayshay podcast of Gary Owen pretty much checking Shannon Sharpe was amazing to me. Let's just go ahead and get into this.
Hell, he can't be canceled. Yeah. Ricky Gervais, he cannot be canceled. Andrew Schultz cannot be canceled. I would think Shane Gillis right now, can't be canceled. Kevin can. Kevin's very corporate.
Right.
Kevin has to be careful what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like someone like Ken Chappelle, they don't have these corporate deals. Kevin's got to be careful. And I'm sure there's some things he wants to say.
Right.
But he ain't trying to mess up that check.
I don't
just like you. You don't defend black women. You know what I mean? There's a lot. I'm sure like Wrangler's about to call you. John Deere.
I gotta take
need some water on this one, baby. Yeah. There you go. See, I should never open that can of worms, because I know you don't, Shannon.
Now, you heard that, right? In case you didn't, I'll play it again.
Can't be canceled. Yeah. Ricky Gervais, he cannot be canceled. Andrew Schultz cannot be canceled. I would think Shane Gillis right now, can't be canceled. Kevin can. Kevin's very corporate. Right. Kevin has to be careful what he says. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like someone like Kat and Chappelle, they don't have these corporate deals. Kevin's got to be careful. And I'm sure there's some things he wants to say. Right. But he ain't trying to mess up that check. Just like you. You don't defend black women. You know what I mean? There's a lot. I'm sure like Wrangler's about to call you. John Deere. I need some water on this one, baby. Yeah. There you go. See, I should never open that can of worms, because I know you don't, Shannon.
All right. Now, everything that Gary Owen said in that clip was true, even though this isn't about Kevin Hart, because, yeah, Kevin Hart is corporate, and so he has to be careful about things that he says, because he definitely can be canceled, okay? But I find it funny that Gary Owen switched from, just like you don't defend black women. Wow. A true statement, but he went from Chappelle and Cat Williams, you know, they can't be canceled, but Kevin Hart can, to, you know, Shannon saying, like you don't defend black women. What did that even have to do with Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams and Kevin Hart in terms of them being canceled? Now, we know Dave Chappelle is married to an Asian. Kevin Hart, he's married to a mixed race. You know, he left his black wife for a mixed race woman. And Cat, you know, he ain't married, but he claims he loves, you know, black women, and it's cool. So maybe he was trying to go, you know, there. But Shannon Sharpe, he just sounds, and you know, and him laughing the way that he did, like, well, damn, you don't have a black mom, a black grandmother. I think he has a sister, at least, aunts, whatever. And I don't watch him, but I've seen clips of him when he does his clapbacks, right? Which is so feminine. I know a lot more males are doing that these days. Like, we're in this Drake, Kendrick Lamar thing that I have not discussed, because I'm just tired of talking. I haven't talked about it, but I'm just tired of hearing about it. Because ultimately, it's all about money. But I digress. They are clapping back a little bit more these days, the males are. But yeah, Shannon Sharpe, or Shay, him sitting there laughing when he would go and do his nightcap with Ocho Cinco, and he's clapping back at people that are responding to him or make comments about him. There have been a number of times where he'd talk about his grandmama or his aunt or whatever. Aren't these black women? So for him to sit and laugh at that, I just found it so cringe. But it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot to his character, because to have a white man pretty much sit there and check him to say, you don't defend black women. And not saying Gary Owens is the defender of black women, because he had a black wife that he was cheating on and whatever. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, if it was not true, he would have immediately responded to that. And he didn't have to respond to it in a way of, you know, cursing him out or standing up and saying, look, fool, no, not saying all of that. But it speaks volumes that he sat there and giggled and laughed, took a shot of his cognac or whatever that crap is that he has in a bottle, and then had to take a swig of water right after that. So it must be true. Listen, I don't know what Shannon Sharpe's problem is. I don't know if he came out to make a response to that. Sometimes he does that with Ocho Cinco because it's almost like he needs backup. When he says or does things on his clubshayshay podcast, so he'll do his responses to people's responses to his sit-down conversation with someone on his podcast. He'll do it with Ocho Cinco. I don't know if you've all noticed that. But there really is no defending him and what he did because his answer was his laughter. There's really nothing else that he can say about that. Gary Owens said the truth about him. He doesn't defend black women. And I noticed that about him just in the few times that I've watched him because, again, I don't watch him all the time. And I don't have to watch him more than what I've seen to come to a conclusion of who he is. He is a man of a certain age, very dark skin, is not married, in my estimation, is not in a relationship with anyone openly and publicly, and if he was, he probably would not be with a woman that has the same skin tone that he does. Let's just be real about it. And when I've heard him ask questions of people, like I remember in the Cat Williams sit down, he asked Cat something along the lines of, you know, how do you handle women that are like gold diggers or something like that. He may not have used that phrase, but it was like, what age are you to be asking another black man at that, another black man, a question like that, when you're not even publicly in a relationship, and some people question your sexuality in the first place, right? So I just don't see it for him. His laughter told me everything about him as far as I'm concerned in terms of how he feels about black women. Because I don't think Gary Owen, I don't care if he is a Caucasian man, would have felt comfortable saying something like that about him if it wasn't the truth. And he probably has watched him a whole lot more than I have. I'm quite sure that he has, to come to that conclusion, okay? So yeah, Gary Owens called him out on not protecting black women, and his response was a deep belly laugh, taking a swig of liquor and swishing it around with, you know, some water after the fact, and not checking him to say, no, that's not true. I may not be in a relationship with a black woman, but I love my black mama, my black grandmama, my black aunties. If he has children, my black daughter, I don't know, cousins, nieces, nephews, whatever. But yeah, I do feel that a lot of men like him, who especially have achieved some level of success in their lifetime, and at this point in time, they are not with a woman that remotely looks close to them, it's because they have issues with women that look close to what they look like in terms of their skin tone. You know what I mean? Whew, there's a whole lot more I could say, but I don't want to make this too long, so I really want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye. Maybe we're mistaken. Don't wanna talk, don't wanna see, don't wanna feel. What is left?